We've heard about these possible talks between the United States and Iran, but what do we know about Israel's stance on this, quote, understanding?
Well, Sarah, I feel like barely a day goes by that we do not speak about the likelihood of some sort of deal emerging between Iran and the United States. But it's very important to mention that we're not speaking about a revival of the 2015 nuclear deal in any sense. We're not talking about the revival of Vienna talks. We're talking about reported talks between the US and Iran that basically have the same goal, though, to limit Iran's nuclear program. I want to remind you, Iran has reportedly enriched uranium up to 80%, 60% purity, which is very close to the value you would need in order to develop a nuclear weapon.
Right.
Now, if some sort of deal was reached, it would be cast as an understanding rather than an agreement to really make that difference that we're not speaking about the revival of the deal that Israel is, of course, very opposed to. We know Israel's position towards a possible deal with Iran whatsoever. There is no belief into Iran being sincere. There is no belief into Iran being a serious negotiation partner when it comes to diplomacy. And there are reports that the U.S. has been updating Israel on the emerging understandings. Israel was not surprised by the reports about the negotiations whatsoever. But although Israel in principle is against a deal with Iran or an understanding, whatever you want to call it in the end, it's interesting that it was not able to intervene or to foil them as we see now. The question is also in what way or in what extent Israel would have an influence on the emerging talks. You mentioned Yuli Edelstein, the head of Israel's Parliament's Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee. He told the president, I want to quote him, it's not a wide scope agreement, it's more like a small agreement, a memorandum of understanding. And I think Israel can live with it if there's real supervision. And supervision is really the key word here. The question is, how would Iran be able to be held accountable for possible violations? Also, we heard the opposition leader Yair Lapid speaking out against a possible, even if you just want to call it understanding. He basically slammed Netanyahu for allowing such an agreement, although we know that there has been no comment from the Likud in terms of these reports about this understanding. He was basically saying that despite the attempts to call it something else, an understanding rather than an agreement, it is, in the end, what it is, an agreement in regards to its nuclear program. And this is what Lapid and big parts of Israel's government, this has been the Israeli stance for years now, are against to. Of course, it is Israel's major interest to really contain the Iranian threat. The question really, and this is what is always disputed, is how to do it diplomatically, military deterrence. But of course, when we look at the Biden administration, it would be seen as a major win to really restore some limits on the Iranian nuclear program, to keep it from getting a nuclear weapon, and to also lower tensions in the regions. We also do not really know what are the contents of that agreement. Reportedly, it's about lowering U.S. sanctions on Iran for Iran committing to keeping the uranium enrichment at 60%. But there are really not a lot of details out there yet, and we have to see how Israel's government will continue to discuss it.